back with the most epic episode of this year. It's going to be the best episode of 2026. You see who I'm with right now? We out here on the West Coast, the bigger picture, bringing you the bigger picture. Let's just get right into it and don't waste no time. Tonight, introducing the legacy to this whole hip hop thing, to this whole what you guys call gangster music that has paved the way from the 90s all the way to now. The legacy of that. Lil Eazy-E. Man, thank you, brother, man. I can't begin to tell you how appreciative this is to me right now. You know what I'm saying? I can't even, this is God. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I couldn't do this. I could sit back and act like I'm a great planner. You know what I'm saying? I can act like I'm this great, thing. But the truth is, it's always God. He makes it for us the way it's supposed to. And that's the only way I could be sitting here right now. It's because God allowed that.
Real talk.
So I have to say that here all the time. You know. So, as you know, as I've been telling you, I don't do interviews. I like to just have great conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, so I don't want to miss out or anything. Let me see, the very first thing I would like to, definitely talk about is the main thing. How is it growing up being the son of Eazy-E?
Oh man, it has its ups and downs, you know what I mean. But as you get mature, you live all in life. It's a blessing, you know what I mean. Again, like you touch on God, and I'm deep into my faith, so you know what I mean. And that comes with growth. That comes with maturity.
Mhm.
You know what I mean. That comes with trial and errors in life and understanding how did I get through these things, and it only was God that got me through it. So when you look at it, one thing that I tell people and individuals that follow me is know how much I'm into it to where I touch on the scripture, I will take care of the motherless and the fatherless. So I feel like, the tough stuff in my life, was only a reflection to sit here and kind of form me into the man I was and give me wisdom to understand the things that I had went through, to appreciate them as I got older. So being his son, it was tough. Of course, everybody knows my story. Losing him at 10 years old, burying him. We buried him 30 years, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days ago was 30 years since we buried my father. You know what I mean? What, say about 10 days ago was 30 years since he passed, which is March 26th. So April 7th is EV Day in Compton, and we buried him April 7th. I turned 11 April 23rd. So it was a tough life outside of just understanding, knowing that I'm growing up in Compton, California, which everybody has a familiarity with how, my city is. And us as African Americans, we don't get what you would think the quote unquote typical normal kid who goes through something, who has a high profile father. So you turn on the news, you turn on the radio, you turn on this. It's always reminds you, what happened to him at that point in time because he was so big. So we didn't have therapy. We didn't have nobody to come and mend us, you know what I'm saying, of going through that or losing that. Or any of my homeboys in Compton, California, if their father went to jail, their father got shot in drive-by. These kids all of us had to sit here and learn to figure it out, and continuously on that boat in life, just go for it. Nobody is really sitting here saying, hey, look at the trauma that child is going through. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's talk to him, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I mean? The counselors in schools go and sit here, give him to a program where he can go and talk to somebody, quote unquote, a therapist, to ease that pain. We didn't have that. Mine was my grandparents, his mother and father. And as like I said, I got older, I appreciate what they did and how they were because they grew me to the man I was today. And again, like I said, it was tough. Being youthful, really hard. And then as you get older, you know what I mean, you kind of get into the teenage years and you kind of battle of, do I want to be known as that person, or do I want to shed away from it because of the fact of, the hardship that it still haunts on you as you became a young man. Not only that is, quote unquote, you passed away from HIV and AIDS, the world. So now when you want to sit here and you want to go get yourself a first piece of tail, you know, to in my nature, you have individuals, and I look at it like, are you safe?
Stupidity.
Yeah, like here comes that elephant in the room, and you're like, whoa, huh? What do you mean by that? And again, as you're young, it hurts. You don't understand. You want to say rage out. You want to do this. But as you get mature, you got to really, as I got older as a man, you look back on it because really at the time when the girl said it, kind of hurt me to where I'm like, oh, like, you bringing this up, here come a tear, here come crocodile tears.
Mhm.
And then when she understands that she feels that, she feels hurt. And well, I just want to be safe. I didn't say I didn't want to do it with you.
Mhm.
I just want to be safe. And then you down on that. I can't do nothing but respect that.
That's deep.
You know what I mean? I cannot do nothing but respect that. So, and that's as a teenage time to where you kind of like, she reminded you of what my childhood was 6, 7 years ago, going through all of this and trying to run from it. And then I had the transition of going to a school and nobody knew who I was. And then playing football and something that hit to me was like, I don't represent who I am. You know what I mean? My father is who he is, and this is what, I want to represent, and I'm proud of who he is after, what I'm saying, coming into a man, and then, you kind of living life, want to represent, like, hey, I'm Eric Wright Jr. You know what I mean? So again, it had its roller coasters of ups and downs, but as you got mature, it's like, it's nothing better, of it to say or have the father that I had. You have your times where you look at it like, man, I wish my pops was a post office worker, you know what I'm saying, or this, that, and the other, why so I can have him in my life. You know what I mean? See my kids, see my son, everybody third. You know what I'm saying? You be born and grow up. So you go through that. But you look at it, it's like, hey, despite of what happened and everything, despite of all of the trauma and turmoil of his legacy, of his estate, of, how we are out here, and he was probably lying at the time. I'm still in Compton, California, not in the hills somewhere. You know what I mean? He's like, I still left something for you. You know what I mean? And I kind of like just took it and still ran with it to be able to sit here and provide for my family. And it's like, man, God made it all right to where I was wise enough to know you left something for me to sit here and pave a way for myself or even carry on what legacy that you left on. So I can go that route, you know what I mean? So in a nutshell, it can be just like this book on the table. It's like it has its hurtful moments, it has its growing pains, it has its joy, you feel what I'm saying? And then to this point now, it's like being able to get a brand name for them, a street name after them, you know what I'm saying? Entertainment square that I'm working on now, a foundation after I'm giving back to my city, giving the keys to the city that's and a recognition from the city for having the Eric White Foundation and doing what I do for inner city kids that are underprivileged or lost a parent. You know what I mean? Here comes the accolades of, be who he is and the hard work that I sat here and tried to do to represent this name. And it's like, hey, here goes a celebration of it. So again, it got its ups and downs, ins and outs all around.
Yo, everything you just said was so powerful. And you're very smart.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? No, seriously. You know what I'm saying? You're very smart and you're very educated. And you just said that very well. And there's so much that you said I want to talk about in that. Do you know that for one, your dad was I know he was like almost a father to a whole lot of people.
You're right.
You understand, you know what I'm saying? That image raised
Yeah.
a whole, like generation of people like my age. You know what I'm saying? Your dad, I was 12
Yeah.
when I first heard We Want Easy.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? And changed my life.
Yeah. That's real. I appreciate
Life completely changed that day. You know what I'm saying? I remember telling my cousin, I was staying with my cousin, shout out to my cousin Tammy. I said, she was going to the mall. I said, I want you to get me this CD. You know what I'm saying? I just know it's We Want Easy, you know, because the video, you know. So she was like, all right, she'll get it, you know. So she came back and she bought the wrong CD at first.
Yeah.
She bought NWA.
I heard that.
And I was so excited because he's on the front cover. So I don't know. I'm a little kid, 12. I'm like, this must be it.
Yeah.
And I ran and I put it on, and she's standing there. And you already know. You know what I'm saying? All that came on. And she was like, she's standing there looking at me. She said, "This is what you wanted to spend your money on." Because I was doing a little newspaper boy. You know what I'm saying? So it was my money. I bought the thing with. So yeah, he was something special to us all. You know what I'm saying? And your story is not alone.
Yeah.
I've sat with a lot of people who parents had a lot to do with this. You know what I'm saying? Had a lot to do with our culture, had a lot to do with the movement. And it seems like that is a pattern almost, that it might not work out the way it's supposed to, because you'd be like, how you in a situation? If your people is this, and you should, it's always seem, but that's a pattern. But what that lets me know is that, as the scripture says, is the money is an illusion.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? The money is an illusion, and it might, in some situations, be a favor not to, have it, because it have to. You have to have certain responsibilities with it. Like where you at now, you can have it because you have the responsibilities, but maybe, when we were young, exactly.
Don't know what
exactly.
What kind of
I'd have turned up.
Yeah, I was exactly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Because I sense that, and I kind of illustrate that to my younger brothers and sisters. And like, I use the term, my grandmother always told me, "Oh, money not good money." You feel me? And who's to know what comes with that if it would have happened? You sit here and say, "Hey, okay, cool, what? You strive and fight for $100 million and moved in there, and it was dropped on." It's like, well, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? A good thing I can sit here and tell them, I said, "Hey, my mama and them not ready to leave Compton." So you get the publicity in the news flash that they sitting on $100 million over here, and you got these hungry wolves over here.
Yeah.
How do you feel you have to feel?
Yeah.
Mama, you ready to move from over here? Oh, dude, well, now I got my family over here, and I don't want to move somewhere where I'm going to sit here and just be bored and this, that, and the other. And all that. Well, that's what it's going to take, Mama.
Yeah.
It's going to be in a hill somewhere.
Yeah, got to get out. Yeah.
Individuals, especially when the publicity comes out that, we sit here striving and we riding with this, you know what I mean? And we always just joke and say it like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's all good and glamour and gold, but is that exactly what we really want? You know what I'm saying? And then when you sit here, you come down to it, it says like, we think about it like, we living in riches as we were without it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Don't want for nothing. You feel what I'm saying? We have family, and we're all together. We're close in love.
Yes.
I mean, that was the riches that we had in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's people with money that don't have that.
Don't at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. It's people with money that don't have
that. Don't have that at all.
And they actually get trained to cut it off.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
And you 100% right. You feel me?
I wrestle with those stories.
Yeah. As much as close as we are as a family, how strong we are together, you feel what I mean? It's that was the beauty and a blessing in life. You know what I mean? Like my kids grow up with my sisters and my brother's kids.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My grandmother see her great grandparents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Real
we just did Easter, where we all come together at her house and we sit here together in love. We have it in as family do, but we always come together as a unit to strive with it. I might not talk to you for a day or two, but we're gonna let that day or two pass by, and we better not go surpass that, and we all back together. You know what I'm saying? We're strong. So that's the beauty and blessing of us. And again, It's nothing that we don't want for. We have a big old potluck. We have kids in the pool, this, that, and the other. This, going on. People have babies, that's babies, and new grandbabies, and this, that, and the other family. And that's the joy that we have. And I love it. I wouldn't change it for nothing. Besides sitting there having the loved ones that are not here to witness this. But that money, man, it didn't.
The strongest thing that I heard that you said, and the dynamic that you don't hear, like, is so lost, grandparents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That foundation is like the pillar of strength right there. And you tell me like that, or like, how was it that, like, because if they were your grandparents, that was your dad's parents. So at the time, he was in his prime, you know what I'm saying? How did that, because they seem to be really like good, righteous people. So like, how did that dynamic affect them? Like, how did they see, the easy that might have not been understood?
Yeah, it was always there, her son. So I was raised by his mother and father, and it's crazy. It's funny, crazy. I learned that from somebody never seen crazy.
Yeah.
It's always a line with but I'm say funny. They use a paper route. So my grandfather, first job that he got, my father he was a paper boy.
Word. Okay, yeah, that was right. Yeah.
So he knew he used to tell me the story. I knew my son was a hustler and really about his money. It's like first job I got him was a paper route. So he wakes up in the morning, he go to serve the paper, all that to your brother. He said one morning, I'm getting up, we're going, and my uncle, his oldest brother, was like, well, Daddy, Eric's gonna sleep. He's like, what? Nah, he out here going to paper route. So get to the paper route, they see a young boy there. It's like, what you doing here? Oh, well, Eric paid me to see it.
Oh,
paper route for
yeah.
He said, what? They said, that's how I knew
Yeah.
my son was on something different because of the fact of just how he was, you know what I mean? And my grandmother, on the other hand, that's her baby boy. It's her baby boy. So, man, and again, it really totally affected her because, again, that's, her only child she loves, and her baby boy. And, the one that she knew was going to be something, you know what I'm saying? And all of them going to be something, but it's just his determination, the strive to do that. And she'd always sit there and say, Eric, she called me, she called me Baby Eric. Baby Eric, he's like, I hear you back there, and, I love my son and all that and the other, but I better not be hearing you say them words, words. So that was the thing about it. But other than that, they enjoyed it. Never imagined that it was going to be that much. But they imagined that he was going to be something bigger than he was because of his determination. And my uncle, his oldest brother, used to play football. And again, another sense of how they knew how special he was. During the halftime show, he was down there racing the track stars or the football players, saying that he can beat them for money. And then during the halftime show, that he could.
Yeah, I've seen him do stuff like that. Yeah,
off vert. You know what I'm saying? Just off straight his two toes and doing a whole halftime show, and they look down and like everybody, ooh, ooh, and his little brother, my little brother out there doing it, my son out there, doing it. So he was always going to be a sense of the light in the room, the light, you know what I'm saying, and in people's life, you know what I'm saying, entertainment for individuals. So that was the trick part about it, that they seen that since he was young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, to where how he blew up and, how big he got, I never imagined it. You know what I mean? Because, again, they come from Mississippi, moved to Compton. We moved from the west side to the east side, and 55, we've been there since then, and never imagined that he'd be in what he was, you know what I mean, and how hard it took off. But was very proud of him, you know what I mean? Because, again, when we had same thing we do now with grandma. And she's the only one living at this time. I'll praise you to God. But the same way when he was at his limelight, when it was Christmas, Thanksgiving, if it was anything, it's all at mom's house.
That's an amazing thing. You say your grandmama's still living?
Yeah.
I just shout out to grandma. That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Gotta say that. Yeah, she's still alive.
Just seen her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, that's amazing.
if I don't do it or make it, but it's usually my routine before I go out of town. I go see her. When I get back in town, I go see her and go spend time with her. But yeah, she's still living. She raised me since I was 2 years old.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So she has me ever since I was two. And my mama is still in my life. People always ask me, like, hey, where's your mom? It's like, she's still in my life. But you hear stories, you sat down with her, she'll tell you, like, if daddy wanted me to sit here, you know what I mean? I want my mama to raise my son, and this is how it'll be. And she's like, hey, I went with the program. You know what I mean? So my grandma had me since I was two.
Yeah, and then that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because again, that dynamic has been lost from us. So you hit on so much right there. I think you just took out the first two. So let's see what we got here. You know, knowing that I'm from New York, I heard you tell me earlier about your travel in New York. You know, you could elaborate on that a little bit more. You said you was on my block. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I was in there. It's funny because I was going to tell you, I did all this traveling. You know what I'm saying? When you're working in entertainment, these folks got me in Manhattan. So, you know, man, I'm like that. So I jump on it because, again, it's this experience. I have never been on a subway. So of course, I'm jumping on the subway. I'm gonna go see this. I want to see the rats on the thing on the trail. I want to see all of that. I want to go pay the toll. I want to get on this. And I jumped on and I went to. I want to see where Apollo. So when we was kids, we always loved late night watching Apollo.
Oh yeah.
So we went to go see where Apollo's at, and then went to play Sylvia's.
Yeah, Sylvia's restaurant.
Yeah, you know, so her grandson treated me and kind of welcomed me there. So once he was telling me where certain spots was at, me and my child's mother, he was like, you know, Big L is up this way, and you know, this is really Harlem, and you know, I mean, we watched the movies, you know, and we heard all of that, so it's like, I want to get around, and you know, I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? So my mentality is always going to be that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it don't matter if you got the jewels on anything, or are you doing that? I'm on a TV show by this time. I'm out there for JoJo Simmons, Rev Run's son.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was out there for his wedding. So this was, you know, after the wedding, and I have free time, and so I just sit here and say, you know what? We jump on Subway, we go down here, give me some food, and they're telling me what Big L, like, what? You know, like, yeah, I'll go pay my respects. So I started marching up the streets in Harlem, and I'm talking about I walk blocks and blocks and blocks, and I'm just walking, and you know what I mean? And people always ask me, why do you do that? Or how do you do that? And, you know what I mean? No security, anything. I was like, well, it's just really just, you know, for one, I walk on faith with God.
Yes.
Two is, when you go down the street, the average person ain't gonna sit here and say, oh, man, it's so easy. Like, no, I'm building it. So by the time they sit here, like, man, that man look familiar. We do this. I'm gone. You know what I mean? I'm just walking, and I'm having fun and enjoying it, and it's just an experience that you would never can imagine in life for saying it. And then that's what, like what we just talked about, when you have individuals who live above their means and feel like they're just not a part of the world, will never experience that. They'll go to certain countries and all that and never experience going to go see the authentic food because of the fact of, oh, it's too much for me to sit here and go walk here and do that. So that's the thin line that I love doing, and it's a blessing to me. It's being an individual that is respected, known, and then I still sit here and can be able to capable live my life the way I want to enjoy what I want to. And that experience is to be walking in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? To go pay respect to Big L. To sit here and say, or you can sit down with my kids and my grandkids, you know what I mean, God willing, and tell them, like, you know what I mean? You ever been to New York, Papa? Yeah, I sure have. You know, your Papa walked down. You really? You know,
Lennox Avenue.
All that.
Yeah, Lennox Avenue.
You know what I'm saying? The streets of Harlem. And I said, hey, I enjoyed it. And when you think about it, this is one of the main places that I want to sit here in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? The Queens, Harlem, you know what I'm saying? Bronx, you know, Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Certain things that you want to see. But at that time, it's just like, man, I'm in Harlem. And I got a good rapport with Cameron. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, all of them, you know what I'm saying? Jim Jones and all that. We all broke right before, and Joel Santana and everything. But Big L was something of like a big talk. You feel what I'm saying?
He started all that.
You feel what I mean? He talked to me. So, you know what I mean? A big talk. And I said, it'd be a blessing to go sit here and see that, you know, out of all respect, to go see his mural and take a picture and just be on the stoop. So I walk. I'm bailed. I went on the stoop, and I remember when this one lady used to hear, she had an attitude with me. Next thing you know, I posted, I was on the stoop. About 30 minutes later, her grandson said, "That's my grandma." She said she didn't know who he was. She's sorry. I said, "What?" You know what I'm saying? And she's sitting there in a picture, and I posted it. The camera responded, and then I went to the mural, and I walked up the block to the corner, and I finna, make a right and start belling back towards where the Apollo was at. Or matter of fact, just get to a subway station and head back to Manhattan. And I walked with a couple of cats on a corner, and one or two sit here and look as they see me taking a picture. It was like, "Yo, can I ask you something? Son, you know what I'm saying?" Like, you know what I mean? And like, was happening like, "You think you?" And I'm like, "Man, yeah, looking at my chain, my piece, and all that." And they started telling me like, "Man, the average cat can't come around here like that." They're taking pictures on the block. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Of all respects to you being who you are, Easy son, Lil Eazy, man." He's like, "It's a pleasure." And they start coming out the liquor store. Like, "Can I get a pic? Can I?"
Bro, you was right there. That's Cameron Building you was standing at with a memorial and Max B. That's their building. And Big L is from the block right next to it with the chicken store that you saw, the big chicken store. That was Big L's block. But yeah, that's that's Lynch Avenue. You was right there on 140. It's in Lenox. You know what I'm saying?
It was cool. They showed everything. And the thing about it, stuff with it, I was like, "Man, you know what I mean? In all respects, I know, because half of them was about as big as me."
No, yeah. But yeah, big old dudes out there, yeah. Yeah.
Up there, and I'm like, they're running shit up. You know what I'm saying? Me, my little ass.
But
It was
they
respectful.
love you, no, it's that's the whole thing. That's getting to the next topic. The whole thing that always took me, and I don't know. That's what we're talking about. We never understood. If y'all understood, like on the West Coast, we like y'all guys. Like you know what I'm saying? We love Minister Society.
Yeah.
We love Boys in the Hood. We loved Colors, and we love Eazy-E and NWA.
Yeah.
When that East Coast West Coast thing happened, what was that about, dude? From your perspective,
it really was. So Pop died in '95. And
he had nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I never felt no type of East Coast shade from Eazy.
Yeah.
Never felt that from him.
Even before he got, into the hospital sick, it's the infamous story of him and Cube seeing each other in New York.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
He walked to his hotel, and it's a trip because individuals said like, "Yeah, your dad was just bail in New York." And then again, that's what I did. I said, "Well, look at the coordination of that. Hey, you know what I mean? Of significant story of father and son and the But he was, like he just felt comfortable out there. He did what he did, you know what I mean? And that came after his passing. And that was more sort of, in my opinion, when you look at more so the Tupac and Biggie situation, the Death Row and the Bad Boy situation, you know what I'm saying? When that rise went on after Pop's, kind of surpassed. And, it's more so just, they've been personal relationships over how that came about. Because, again, you look at it even when you go back to NWA being on tour, it was with LL. You feel me?
Of course.
It's always the love.
NWA, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was always the love. You feel what I'm saying? You had Q, who was influenced by the Rock Kings. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? So the love came from that knowing as far as whether the origin of hip hop, really kind of, planted. You know what I mean? So the love was always there. So my generation, from my father and them, it didn't have that. That came as far as when the turn of things came, and his passing, which was again the Death Row Bad Boy situation, to my perspective. You know what I mean? And just more some egos.
I'm glad you said it. So being up, because I was having this, because I told somebody, I got to talk to Lil Eazy about that. So because I'm a little older, I had to look at it the other day and really think about it. So I said, all right, where did it start at? So I want to immediately say Ice Cube because that's who we were offended by from the beginning. He came out in around 92, 93 with this, you know, East East down, West up, you know what I'm saying? The sun might rise on the east, but it sets on the west. You know, come to my town, bow down, you know what I'm saying, when you West Coast bound. It was he was saying a lot of things that confused us, you know what I'm saying, around that time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, my man, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Some hate. You sounding like a hater. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all of this, stuff about? You know what I'm saying? So it was him and the West Side connection that started it. And from where it was a distaste to like, what is this about? You know what I'm saying? Like, but then someone brought it up to me so I had to look at it and really see that it was Tim Dog. You know what I'm saying?
It sure was.
Yeah.
Me being real young, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 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 a trip because I actually do remember when the situation of Tim Dog came in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then it got highlighted when Cube and Dre, did the whole total diss when they came.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like
Snoop and Dre, yeah.
Snoop and Dre.
Tim M.U.T. Your black was loud, but the rock wasn't vicious.
So I sit here, and of course, because they shooting at Pops too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, who is this? They talking about Tim, and then it took me back to because he did a song.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what? Okay, what? Like, who is this cat? You feel me? So you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and this is. And again, this was all after the whole breakup.
Yeah.
So after Q first, and then Dre, and then forming the Death Row.
Mm-hmm.
This came on. So yeah, and then it's a trip. I don't even know. I possibly even get into that too much, but everybody else jumped on the fact of Tim Dog saying that.
Yeah, the Pops was real. He knew that was bull. You know what I'm saying? Like, for one. I mean, Tim was that was comedy. You know what I'm saying? And when we really kind of look at it, that was what they call it today, clout chasing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Tim wasn't serious. Tim probably looked up to your dad just as much as everyone else. It was clout chasing. It was his way to get in the game.
Yeah.
But the East Coast down, West Coast up stuff was sound a little more. You know what I'm saying? That was hitting a little bit more personal, like that's your feelings.
That's where it came at. Then everybody started shooting their shot because they like you say the West Side connection came. You know what I'm saying? And Q formed that alliance, and they was going at the East. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And I guess now that you gotta sit there and think about it, and then Death Row just turned it up.
They turned it notch. Yes, Pop came and followed in from where Cube left off at and took it to another notch.
Yes, they did.
And that, caused, trouble with us. But the real ones never had that because the real ones always existed from both sides. You know what I'm saying? Both sides, the real one, but it got commercially put out there to a generation. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that ends because we can't do this without us connected together. They separate us, divide us to
make it extra. Their ulterior motive is no extra money that they feel they make it for the drama of problems, it got serious, and then that's when the record companies knew when it got serious when the death happened.
That is something that rocked our culture, and I think was going to be forever talked about forever now. And do you think that those murders would ever be solved? What we hear let me say this. What we hear in New York, I know it's not what y'all hear here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, what we hear in, in New York is the typical stuff. We don't really know, you know what I'm saying? From our understanding, Tupac was killed by Orlando Anderson. We hear all this other stuff sometimes, like even with Spider, that I'm going to see, shout out to Spider Low. I've heard him say that's not true. And I've heard other people say that's not true. And it's a lot to that seems, from a law enforcement perspective, that seems not to add up about all of that. And then that goes into the Biggie thing too. Both of those murders are still like unsolved. What's can you share the West Coast perspective on that?
Um, well, yeah, they big in California, a lot of things get unsolved. You know what I mean? And that's that's just a realm of how things are on this side. Situation with Pac is unfortunate. You know what I mean? You know, in our culture, you have a lot of red and blue situations and problems, and that situation and problem lies into the same affiliation of red and blue, blood and crip. You know what I mean? It was just unfortunate that he got into a situation of with some individuals and from Compton that are highly respected and kind of, what I mean, known for what they do. And his situation that people highlight is because he got into that situation in the casino with Orlando that, the world of course knows, you know what I mean? And later that night, come to his demise on a situation that went on. A lot of people will highlight it and say it, oh, because it's Orlando. It happened and it's Orlando. Nobody knows as far as what was situation, you know what I mean, and or who or what in that instance. But we all know that, you mess with a group of individuals, there's retaliation that some group of individuals will sit here and have to come back. You know what I mean? Is it per se that be that exact individual? No, let's just say that I can personally tell you the individual that they sit here and mess with is a well respected, reputable individual. Well respected, superly respected. Like when from our city, when we sit here and say, you know what I mean, he's a general, you know what I mean, or what we used to call in Compton, he's a local, you know what I mean, like he's a one, like he's a riser, that like Orlando is that. So where who you came across that situation with, you know what I mean. I see there's somebody tell me a story one time. It's like it would have been good that those individuals actually knew of each other, you know what I mean, and or knew, you know what I mean, or met on a better, different term. You'd have a lot of respect for Orlando because of who he was. He was a rock. You know what I mean? I think the influencement of, I'm gonna just be straight up with you, is a bad seed in every situation, which is Chiller. And I'm gonna point that name out. It's a bad seed in every situation. You know what I mean? Was a bad influencement on that night, individuals, life, business, everything. You know what I mean? Despite of the riches that come with it, which again is it could be the poison to some people, it could be the curse to some people, you know, maybe because of the fact of they're making all this money and everything. He's just a bad seed. So, a bad seed that just planted some negativity in you to get you into a ruffle with some individuals and retaliation comes. That doesn't for certain to say that hey, it was Orlando or any instance. Just I'm just saying that Orlando had respect. So, what I mean, it could be anybody that has this much respect for him. It could be a little homie. It could be an individual that sit here and say, hey, you know what I mean? I want to make an example of somebody sit here messing with, what I mean, my big homeboy. Or per se, which the world knows, my nephew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So of course, individuals know that Keith is in a tight situation for that situation, and who's to say, like, what he did besides what he spoke and ran his mouth that went on, which is another person's own demise. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can't put that on Orlando. What we can put is that you guys attacked Orlando, and he's highly respected and comes from a place that's right around the corner down the street from where I'm at. So when you look at it, it's
Right around the corner from you.
I'm from East Side, South Compton.
Mm-hmm.
They're from South Side.
Wow. Okay.
So cruising down the East Side, South of Compton, that's us. South Side, it's right across the boulevard.
Got you.
We're here, and outside is the backyard right there.
Okay.
So, Orlando's family I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando's uncles grew up with my father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I know that I know his mother.
Mhm.
Charlotte B. I know too well, and in respect to her and everything, for individuals to stop putting that target or that thing on her son's name.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I asked you. Yeah.
I respect, for Charlotte, and knows that I love her as well. And, what I mean, was looked at as a little nephew of hers, always coming around. I took their niece to prom.
Mm-hmm.
She was my high school sweetheart.
Okay. Yeah. You family. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I go back
Got it.
to understanding that.
Completely
What I
understood.
mean? Out of respect for Charlotte is just individuals tagging her son as that when she was attacked.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Which we clearly saw.
Clearly saw.
Yes.
To tag him as an individual that, hey, is behind of what went on. You know what I mean? So that's not fair. You know what I mean? And that ain't right. And there's no proof or nothing whatsoever to that. But, again, I just sit there and say, hey, that individual that was attacked was well respected. You know what I mean?
You ever heard of Gene Deal?
Gene Deal? No.
All right, so Gene Deal is shout out to Gene. That's Puffy bodyguard that was there the night when Biggie got killed.
Uh-huh.
And he was the one that said he would carry Biggie out the car, had to pull Biggie body out the car.
Wow.
Gene Deal, kind of real big. So Gene Deal was on the show. He did a show with me, personal close friend of mine. And we was talking, and Gene, Gene is police, so Gene said on my show, he said, Bigga, I was told that the shooter walked up to the car. So, when he said that, how that go, what it said, he said, and he said it like real tough. It's right there. Anyone could look up the street. He said, told the shooter walked up to the car. I said, whoa. He said it was the drive-by. He said, I was told the shooter walked up to the car. Now, Suge is saying that. Suge, I don't know if you recently heard, but Suge recently came out and said, what the world don't know, it was 2 separate shootings that night. That there was the first shooting, and then someone walked up directly on the car.
Wow.
Suge saying that now.
Wow.
When apparently, it was an inside job, Suge is saying. He said the person that did it was a death row employee and broke his heart. They looked directly at the guy. And I guess they insinuate, allegedly, that was the person that blocked him, man.
Good.
Which he said that was supposed to never happen. I don't know. He said his car was supposed to always be in the front. There was no way, he was supposed to get blocked in by a death row. Everybody they were supposed to be behind him.
Wow. Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What about Biggie, though? The world, of course, back home, we still don't, some people insinuate we did it, you know what I'm saying? And some people insinuate his own people, played
a
part of getting him left out here. Is that the vibe of, what do the West Coast say? They just say he shouldn't have just been here, because I hear a lot of that.
Yeah. Honestly,
I hear a lot of that he should have just not been here.
It just, same situation as you use a mindset state of how I grew up. You know, what I mean? Like if we go and we get at some individuals, our guard can be let down. And especially if we go get at some individuals that, have a reputation, our guard can be let down. And if our guard get let down and somebody get caught slipping, bam, it's it's the cycle. And it's sad because I'm a motivational speaker, so it's like I go and speak to a lot of youths that come from the background where I come from because what I tell them is, and I'm giving this story, so I'm going to start the story over telling you at the times when I was brainwashed. And that's what I tell them, I was brainwashed. We're brainwashed to sit here and to be the catapults for a plan of us against each other. And that's where I'm from in my city. That's what the motive is.
Mhm.
Ever since I was a kid off the block, I jumped off the block at 11 years old because I was hurt. I had
Of course, yeah.
turned
Of course, yeah.
you know what I mean? I didn't know it was what life wasn't fair. And then I'm gonna run around the block to all the homeboys that daddies ran with my daddy and these other older homeboys that tell me about my father, and I'm gonna be just like that because this is what I want to miss.
Mhm.
So I jumped off the block at 11. And ever since I jumped off the block at 11, being brainwashed, my motto was, these are our enemies. This is what we stand for. This is what we do. This is the disrespect and respect that we're gonna stand for. And then as I got older, I understood like I was only against an individual that got the same color as this. It was against nothing else. Nothing else. It was a point in time where, many individuals to come and be like, oh man, you know what I'm saying, man, Ed Chris. What I thought about, like, I'm highly intelligent. Like, well, last 10 people I knocked out were Chris. So I guess I'm in the same boat as you.
Mhm.
So when a lot of people look at it like, oh, it was just blood and against Crips and all that, like, nah, my side of Compton, it's a whole lot of problems and killings or situations.
Everybody.
And ain't too many bloods around. So what's that telling you? We get so we got so
We
much,
killing each other.
man. Come on now.
We killing each
We
other.
got so much collusion. It's us against us. When you typically think of the Crips and Crips or Crips and Bloods and all that, and the other, it's Crips and Crips where I'm from. So I go school him about me being brainwashed and how that lifestyle is just a revolving door. It's borderline suicidal because it's a revolving door about you being dead or in jail, and it just to stop them and get them off the streets. So now when I go back to the story, I was telling you initially was when I was brainwashed, is we let our guard down. Something happens to one of us. What to do is the revolving same door of we gonna go ride, they gonna go ride. We gonna go ride, they gonna go ride. So on the West Coast, how we look at it with Biggie is if you didn't have a sense of doing anything, because all we gonna look about is, damn, well, who shot Lil Reg? Well, it was them. It could have been them. We have to power with them. Well, you know what we gonna do? We just gonna ride on everybody. And to keep your ears up and all that, we just won't do that. Ain't no one to
We ain't gonna figure all that out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think about it on the West Coast, as how our mentality was when we were brainwashed, is regardless if you didn't have anything to do, did you have a problem with this
I
person?
got you.
Did you have a beef with this person? Cool. Well, you know what? You steered clear because what? Everybody got action. We had everybody. We had the one who played me for a couple of dollars and some work. We had the one we had a fight with at the skating ring. We had the ones we had an argument and shootout with at the liquor store. We had everybody because of the fact that we just don't know. And like the world knows, was it solved? None of it was solved.
None of
So it goes back to we don't know.
Mhm.
So it's best to steer clear. And that's how we felt with being on the West Coast. It's best to steer clear. God bless his soul, have nothing to do with the
Yeah,
situation.
yes.
It had nothing to do with the situation. That was some
Yeah.
almost we can compliment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So regardless of how you felt in your heart, how you were, to not show that, it's best to sit here and say, hey, just steer clear of it. steer clear of it. If it got to be 6 months to a year, just say, I'm just staying clear of it. I'm not coming outside. These niggas is worried and beefing. I'm just not. I'm gonna lay low for a minute. What's called out of body? What's called different stuff? Hey, he should lay low. Who's doing the other? Why? We want up on it right now.
Yeah. And Tupac was too much loved out here.
So
Yeah, it was too much loved out.
To where it could have again the same situation with Orlando. You could look at it, could be somebody who got so much respect for Tupac.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna ride for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much respect for him. We gonna do this.
Same thing, yeah. I got it, yeah. Same thing, yeah.
You got so much respect.
Yeah. Could be anyone. It could have been anyone. That's serious. That's definitely a serious take. Not to get back on this, but that's something that I have to we got to talk about that, because that's the greatest conspiracy in hip hop. No, that's the greatest conspiracy probably. And I think our culture, because our culture is way beyond hip hop. That just puts it in one thing. So what I'm talking about is the passing of your dad. So let me tell you what I was at that time when I heard it, how devastational that was. I'm somewhere in another state at that time doing bad boy stuff, going through some, and I'm actually, confined at the time. And it was in the paper, I guess, that morning or something like that. And the guy talked to him about it, and it was like devastation. So I'm like, how is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had family members that I've taken care of.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I thought, I said, wait a second. They got family members that it took years and years and years and years, and I watched them deteriorate.
Yeah.
I'm watching them. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I said, this don't go like that.
Yes, it does not.
It don't work like that. And then I've never since heard of nobody else dying like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I've never heard since that. It's already happened. All right, if that can happen, why I've never heard of no one else? Nobody else?
Let me hit you with one, because now you tell me, you give me the knowledge that you have taken care of individuals in a sense like that.
Yeah.
You never thought that an individual who had even a sense of HIV where your white blood T cells are weakened.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever seen of somebody who is in a weakened state with your immune system to have a surgery in that time? Because why? Your body can even heal itself if you have immune deficiency of your white blood cells. So a week before, matter of fact, days after the news came out of him having HIV, my father went through an operation and fixed leakage in his lungs. And from that operation is when everything went downhill. So as I was a kid, and why I studied this, because why? This monster that took my father away. So when now all of the education that is pumping in me to have as a young kid, and I transitioned to going to high school, and I could take sex education and we can learn about this virus and everything that was for it, but it was in my mind that I'm going to learn about what this is. You know what I mean? How you contract this? What are the ways, the forms of getting this? You feel what I mean? And where did it come from? Knowing that it's man-made, you feel what I mean? But what it does and how does it affect and attack the body, there's certain things that you should even go through in your life if you even have some of this. And then, so me being an AIDS activist as well, a lot of the work I do is out here in Arizona as well. A bad, problem with that, and it's affecting the youth at a very rapid young age. When I first started doing this, it was the age was between the ages of 25 to maybe 31, 35. Now it's the age of 25 to 15. 15 to 25 per se. it's younger kids that are sitting there doing that because of the fact they're just living a life of doing what.
So wait up, we can't gloss over that. You just said, say that again. We can't gloss over that.
So bad. The situation,
That's scary shit.
fire is so bad that when I first started being an AIDS activist and helping come out here with the community to different clinics that offer help, education, and knowledge to this, to sit here and the individuals that run it actually are been living with it for over 20 plus years. Some actually have been victims of rape. You know, some actually have victims of crimes that weren't even considered a crime back then. One of them actually from New York, where it wasn't a crime for a person to be infected and to sit here and go physically assault a woman. They didn't count that as which is kind of essentially like a deadly crime.
Yes,
Years ago, where that law wasn't passed in New York, that run this clinic and run these foundations. So I go work with them to educate the youth, being of who I am and my father's son, to sit here and want to sit here and get people to what is actually going on. Because despite of what I feel, it is a serious matter that's going on. Even to the fact that I did so much study to understand that they put more into it was a poll for them to sit here and put in Atlanta. They wanted to put an institution that would help with treatment for, and the government would rather take that money to sit here and go into more firearms or weapons, and didn't pass the law for them to have that. Why? Because Atlanta was so high of AIDS rates, they had the number rated as a third world country. This is a state. They had a high rate in Atlanta that their statistics ran so high, like a third world country, of how many have it. So I broke
Atlanta, Georgia.
So
did y'all hear that?
Yeah, so just doing my research and being an AIDS activist to sit here and give them education, places, what's going on, what's the problem, what's the cause of it. A lot of it can sit here and be individuals that can be butthurt and say, hey, you cannot strive it as that, but it came down to me even just educating individuals to a whole sexual matter of how it sexually is, you know what I mean? It don't take just me spitting on you. It has to be a whole sense of bodily fluids that are going to something that you may have an abrasion or a cut in. So individuals don't know a sense like, oh, somebody didn't spit on me or did this, did that. No, you can't connect the track like this. Or so much in the nature.
The oxygen.
Yeah, or so much in the nature as in it's been line where people sit here and get it, but you know, it's a higher rate of homosexuality that has it as well. You know what I mean? Because individuals understand how you have your form of pleasure is in some way not built in a way to that individual that you're having it with. You know, man's anal passage has a blockage, a wall blockage. You know, I mean, I can beat with you, you know, but they'd be sensitive. Some people would say it as a wall blockage. So when you beat that wall blockage down, it causes bruises and abrasions and sores.
And the female don't have that?
A female has a canal that goes down when she's there. If she tends to have a relationship.
You educated me.
Has a canal that goes down. So therefore,
you educated me.
Their anus and intestinal fluids goes down the curve.
And the man got the wall. So you're breaking the wall. And that's blood.
So then it causes it causes all kinds of sit here bacterial situations in the nature. So, you know, it's all of that. Sharing needles, of course, we know that. And you know, I keep going on, but the statistics was at the time when I started doing this was the ages of 25 to 31.
That's serious.
I just did in February was my last talk and AIDS walk that I did, AIDS awareness day that I did out here in Arizona, and the ages went from 15 to, I want to say, younger than 25. 25 to 15 years old, 15 to 25 years old. So I see the gap of it going down to being attacking the youth. They're out here doing, you know, what they please, how they please, and other things. And, you know, and just not educating yourself on where they stand, because the individuals that first got me out here to do that have been living here so long So just going to talk and having people like you be educated to know what your status is how much longer you can sit there and give yourself because it's not the end of the road. You know what I mean? And then also the education of it. Like I tell people that way, if this was possible, that this was what my father had. Just knowing the education of knowing what it was, he'd still be alive. Why? He had much money as Michael Johnson.
Yeah, of course.
He had, if not more. If not more, he was making millions of dollars a month. You know what I mean? You know, what was the resources for him to sit here still be? Because I look up as a kid and I see Magic Johnson is still fighting and struggling, doing what he do, and supposedly quote unquote living with this virus. You know what I mean? So for what how it attacked, it was just and it seems like you opened up and said it's conspiracy because why? He just died like that.
I think about this. So you have people out there that say, why would they kill him? Why would COINTELPRO would have killed him? Because that's basically what we would be going to. Why would the powers that be took him out? And I think about your grandparents and what you said. So evidently, he wasn't who he was portrayed to be. It's impossible coming from those grandparents. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever, you know, we saw, you know, it was something totally else behind coming from his parents, your grandparents, I mean. So if at some point he would have told the truth, meaning that this gang stuff, this lifestyle, this, you know, thing is not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? That it really should be about, you know, God, the church, or whatever like that. Maybe that might have messed up, you know, their whole entire, you know, thing because
It says what you said. That's now.
yeah,
That's the highlight now.
no, because this was all a plan.
A plan.
Yeah.
So but when I think, and this is me personally, what you're saying, it definitely is a plan now. That if you stop the agenda that we want out there, and you stop the
it would have never got to now.
to doing that. It's like I would say, you know, some of the young youthful drill rappers, you'll say now, that sells for them, that keeps it going, that keeps everything striving and going on. You feel what I'm saying? Now, but when we're talking about 30 years ago, as far as then him not, and I'm gonna personally tell you this, him not taking that transition because at his deathbed, he had a Bible on the side. So it was a transition of understanding that when we get to this point, you want to sit here and have an understanding that have you ever, and he has as a kid, but as you go through this level of height that you go into and stardom and money and wealth, did you stay grounded with this? So that's what his brother, who was better than me, my uncle, and his grandparent, I mean his mother, my grandparents and father wanted to sit here and establish that in these days or in this time or while we're going through this, let's get into this Bible. Let's get back around when we're doing it. So to say that his agenda was going towards that, not necessarily. His thing was when you ask that question, why? Because who controls you? And then we go look at everybody else who tried to break the chain of being controlled or what happened.
Gotcha.
And I'm not going to speak to any names, but y'all, you know hip hop and all of that. Think of your biggest stars. Think of your biggest individuals. When they turn the leaf to want to do more than what you shouldn't, we're gonna look for a way. But this one right here is a strong street individual. Ain't no controlling him. We tried to throw the big people at him, the Shugs, this and that and the other, and all that. And he beat it. And he told you, J-Day makes Eazy's payday. Now, all of a sudden, I just don't get paid off of Ruthless Records. I'm going to get paid off Interscope and Death Row Records as well. I'm going to get paid off of everything from the rooter to the tutor. And then I'm going to cut the strings on what I call is my health and protection. So I don't have nothing that's lighter than that, overshadow anything I do. I'm gonna make it all myself. Then you ask yourself, how many they allowed to do that?
None.
To this day.
None.
At all.
None. I can't even do it.
And he can control all that. And when you want to sit here and go, and I'm just being real, individuals that don't, and it's gonna come out and the true story of his life that I want to give, the people that honestly know that he won the RICO Act.
No, I didn't elaborate. I know nothing but with Luke?
No, my father won the RICO Act.
Not with the hip hop thing, with the cursing back in the days?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you tell me, yeah.
With the quote unquote, as they say, the meeting that him and Sugar had to sign over Dre's rights. And they illegally sit here did that. So he went at Tommy Mottola, Interscope, and everything else. And that's why he owned percentages of Dr. Dre until all of his entire life.
That's how he got that. Got you.
Because you had the paperwork. So you're getting paid all of everything. When do they allow you to?
Yeah, you name it, yes. Yeah.
When do they allow for a black man to control and have everything?
They're never gonna allow that. So that makes sense. And that makes a lot of sense. I know that if he would have been able to get to the point where he turned his leaf, how you are right now, we only could imagine.
He was a poster child for that, but he owned everything. So when, in the sense of you just asking me, highlighting an individual has that much control and power, you know what I mean? And we can't control you. We can't make you step and fetch. We can't make you bend over. We can make you do all this. Then, hey, let's just get rid of you. And to my sense, because I would never think that a virus attacked and killed you that fast and that hard when you had high-end, expensive doctors.
I've never seen it.
That you see all the time.
Never seen it. And I used to, not only that did I take care of people, I used to, when I first security organizations that I was running in New York, we used to go get the hotels in New York and we would clean them out. I would run the drug dealers out the hotel and we would put people in the hotel that was affected with HIV, move them in once we would, get the drug dealers out the building. So I had buildings all throughout New York City I did this with, and this was in the 90s. And these people, some of them I see today, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, you've done had the virus over 30 years. So yeah, just don't. That would never make sense. Yeah. Last two. I don't know, being that you're not to move away from the spiritual sense, because it's always that, but at the same time, being that from where we from, it was certain rules and certain ways we came up and things that we heard, and this snitching thing, you know what I'm saying, definitely for my generation was always like, that was, we shouldn't tell on each other. And it goes back to Jesus, the snitches turned him in, Now we see this whole situation that's happening with Gucci Man and Pooh Shiesty. And I don't know, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what is to say about that? Is they say Gucci Man telling, I guess, and he got a song. I heard it. I was listening to the song on the plane, and he telling on the song.
That, but the highlight on the thing is I feel it like, and I'm gonna speak to the youth and all that. It's highly disrespectful when you feel like you need to use my father's name to represent something that you don't know about, and a person that you can never be, never amount to, never even live up to the fame, the fortune, the ownership, regardless of what deal you have on anybody. So it's real disrespectful that he felt like he needed to use a bar to reference a meeting. Like
Absolutely, yes.
when Suge and him had a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and they supposedly finagled the paperwork. So that had no point of being your reference to use to highlight that. So as man to man, I feel it's really disrespectful, and I'm looking for a family apology because he has a mother that's still alive. To understand that, and probably would never ever listen, don't even know who you are, but pure point blank, he has kids and family. That's highly disrespectful. So as being his first son, as man to man, I'm looking for an apology for that. That didn't make no sense to use. And if it doesn't, then hey, you know what I mean? That just shows that the highly disrespect you have towards a legacy that you can never live up to. You can never be, regardless of anything. There's not another, and will not be another Eazy-E.
Absolutely.
So, and even speaking on the situation that Bigga just brought up is to understanding that the situation that you are in, that you actually are doing and telling, is just go ahead and live up to understanding that, hey, you just living the life of a normal man, you know what I mean, for whatever situation that you've been in, you know what I mean? And it's a thin line when you sit here and think about the street rule. And yeah, Jesus did have snitches at the time, but it's also a term that we do live by that is tell the truth, shame the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this world we live in. That the streets is telling you, hey, you never should have been a tattletale. But then the word is telling you that don't tell a lie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Don't be a false witness to your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bear false witness. So you don't bear false witness, and we live by how the word is telling us. And then we sit here and say, hey, well, the streets tell us that you ain't supposed to sit here and say nothing. You know what I mean? It's a cold world. It's a cold world we live in. To where do you find your lifestyle of living? You know what I mean? All I do is continually pray that you're not in a situation in a matter of where you have to sit here and your reputation and your being defined on if you lawfully did something right or lawfully told somebody something in nature that was either against you or your other ones. Because I can give a person a scenario and be like, hey, motherfucker did something and it involves your children and all and the other, and we don't know. Most people go, well, I'm gonna go handle it in blood. I'm gonna go handle it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's a cold situation, you know what I mean? As far as in that way, the streets it is what it is. It's where it's at. You don't have no control, no ownership of it whatsoever. It's not a lifestyle as far as, and that's going to get you in longevity. But you know what I mean? It's a thin line for you trying to live right, and then you say, "Hey, I'm living for the streets." Which one? Am I straddling the fence? Am I going to straddle the fence and say, "Hey, well, I'm gonna live this way," and I'm lie? I'm not going to sit here and give the truth of what we're supposed to give. That's tough. That's really tough. You know what I mean? So
I agree with that. As a man and a businessman, I guess he's, making the decision of a civilian. But
but stand on that.
yeah,
Don't,
absolutely.
And I respect when us as individuals that come from where we come from to understand and know that there's no side looking at you. You stand on that. And if that's what you stand on, I am this. But don't give me, I'm this street, I'm a gangster, I'm doing all of this, I'm doing all of this, and then I turn around and I go against all the grain of doing it. And then most of these individuals do that and say, hey, well, my popularity or my reputation to stand on where everybody accepts it isn't okay with it. You feel what I mean? Like, no, if you stand on that, and that's what you are, or are you a civilian? Are you a civilian and you just taxpaying man living your life? There's no looked upon doing it. You're doing what's right. But if you want to stand on saying, hey, what this is, and want to come out and rap about this, and just what a couple of years ago you down Jeezy on how he was as a grown man and a mature man, but then you turn around here and say, hey, I'm gonna make a statement to something. You know, it's
I think it's very serious and it's very sad because, in my perspective, he raised him. You know what I'm saying? So he only is like a dog coming back to eat his own vomit.
a whole.
Too Shiesty is a creation of Gucci Man. Where do you think he got Get It Back in Blood from? Where do you think he got that thoughts and stuff? Of course, the whole culture, but you had a lot to do with the culture at the time he was raising up as a young boy. And I'm sure your lyrics played through his mind and his spirit, and you was probably the last person that he expected to make a statement. You know what I'm saying? He probably expect you to handle it the way it's supposed to be handled.
Yeah, come get it.
Yeah, and is he the victim? You know what I'm saying? Because that's another thing I'm trying to understand. Is he really the victim? Where was y'all at where you had to pull a gun with him? You know what I'm saying? To put this head to make him sign a contract. You know, like where was y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like where was y'all at if that had to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't get that figured out. Maybe he was a victim. You know, it's a lot of victims. You know, in hip hop with these contract things that more dudes don't go right with that when they realize, oh, I can't get this 10 million deal here because this that you got me in here and I don't even got, you know, $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're threatening my family, you know what I'm saying? And that's where he probably went to in his mind, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, Gucci full-fledged went against everything that he stands on. I mean, and then he went and rapped about it. Like, I'm gonna put the statement on wax. So it don't look like I put a full statement because it is spoken through on records. Matter of fact, he had my white associates in there, so they was gonna tell anyway.
Yeah, but it seems like, from what I heard, that they need his, you know, statement too because they called him in the room outside of them.
Yeah, so
So this is all right. So this is a couple things that I always knew that was wrong. To catch your situation out in that. So if you law enforcement, I kept wondering, and I kept saying, how did they rob Gucci Man and didn't get his law enforcement? Something was wrong with that. Couldn't happen with me. If I'm protecting someone, they're not out of my eyesight. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's for one. Now, if they robbed Gucci Man, put a gun in his head, and did all of this, when did the law enforcement realize what was going on?
real tough.
You know what I'm saying? And you couldn't have robbed him. Because if you robbed him, you would have got his gun. If you robbed the law enforcement for their gun, this would be a whole different, you'll hear a whole lot of different stuff going on in the headlines. So that immediately let me know somehow he was not right in it. You know what I'm saying? So he's the one that statement, they wouldn't need Gucci Man. But if it's just like him, yeah, they didn't nobody. The law enforcement got to say, and the law enforcement say he didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Wow. How you know he didn't see it? Because if he would have saw a gun, people had to, you know, you got to kill me or I got to kill you. We can't leave here. It's not that simple when you have law enforcement working for you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's what they pay for. You can't, you know, oh, it's gun? Something happen to my artist or the person I'm protecting, can't leave. You know, so something is fishy about that whole thing. And lastly, we talked about God so much. I definitely so inspired. You know what I'm saying? You're definitely a motivational speaker. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to be thinking about this conversation is a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because from watching you on Smack DVD, like I said, back in the days at first, you know what I'm saying? I would have, not at that point, thought I would be sitting there talking to that person, you know what I'm saying? The person on Smack DVD, was looking like, looking like a banger, a shooter, you know what I'm saying? Looking like his dad, you know what I'm saying? Looking, exactly, looking like, you was,
Been through it.
you was that,
Educated as far as what the situation is, you feel me? Being into your faith, you understand a good concept of forgiving. And there's a lot of situations that, has been in my life when I was young and acting like that is where necessary do I have this anger or pain with these individuals for? I had a situation where I had a homeboy one time try to take my chain. And we were at what we call a champagne party. So we're at a gathering, and he's about short, stocky like me, and he came up and he put this thing right to my chest, and I'm like, whoa! He put his arm around my chain, so I put my arm around the chain. And then I'm like, we're going back and forth, and I said, take this chain off. So I took it off because you're not going to pull it. So I took it off. I had it in my hand. So I'm going back and forth, and I'm saying, so let go of my seat. You tripping? You want to have a conversation? We can have a conversation. And then I have the opportunity to put it in my pocket. Because why? In my mind, being that there's like the individual would say, I could take him. You know what I mean? And not like on some James Bond or John Wick shit. It's just the fact of when I put it in my pocket and I got the control of what the object is put away, I said, come here. I said, nigga, why are we standing right here? I said, I could put my hands on him. And he didn't have a slight of a movement. So when people hear me talk like this, my father put me in karate. My uncle, my other uncle, my dad's other brother, is a weapons specialist in the Air Force. So
you learn.
So when I was a kid, after my father passed away, I stayed in karate, took boxing, and my grandpa always told me, you better learn how to fight. Why? Because you're going to be little on your EV side. You better learn.
Yes.
You better learn to take care and protect yourself. So, and being in karate taught me discipline and not to use my emotions. And my uncle told me I can use anything in this room to attack
as a weapon.
As a weapon. So my mind stayed again, not just being on John with people. Oh, you hypothetically just thinking like, nah, I really felt this way, and I was still slightly younger. So I said, grab him. I said, I can knock this nigga out, but if I knock him out, I'm gonna have to kill him. And is that what I want to do? Nah. And I talked him into where he was tripping, what he was on, whatever he felt like was just like shit that was just unheard of. Next thing you know, he won. Man, hit me up. And he put his shit away. Went around the corner, told my little cousin, it's like, man, all right, cool. I'm gonna head home. Cousin broke down emotionally. Why? Like, what happened to you? Because the old me on the Smack DVD.
Yeah, you would have,
some other stuff. And I told him the story. I said, the nigga tried to take my chain with a gun and didn't accomplish it. So what are you gonna go do next? Go get a machine or a army tank and feel like he can sit here and get at me? So I told my cousin, I said, so the more of that story right there is I won. I'm a bigger person. He couldn't take nothing from me. He couldn't take nothing from me. And this is a cold individual that'll do something.
Yeah, well, I already know when you said it. Yeah,
cold.
I knew that.
He's older than me. And
he had to be to even think he could walk up on you and do that. So I added all of that up real quick. I knew what he was.
So like I said, so I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna go sacrifice my children, everything, my grandmother, my mother, everyone that depends on me to prove something to another man that clearly has the respect on me, he has to go get something to try me.
Absolutely.
And it didn't accomplish it. Didn't accomplish it. You feel me? At whatsoever at all. Then turned around and tried to give every sense of what he felt was an apology. So now if he feels like, hey, I do say fucking and I'm not dealing with him, what he gonna go do? I gotta go get me a grenade launcher or something. Now I could try to do this. Cause I couldn't move this nigga
with the gun. Yeah.
I couldn't move him with my words or the attention of fear that I tried to put on him. And none of it cracked him. So who's the bigger person in that? Who got the more sense of respect to that? And don't get me wrong, I didn't go home. Don't get me wrong, that Smack DVD Kid came out. And I went right back around there to Nightfall. And I approached him. And I said my few words of what I'm saying. And he turned down every situation if it was for us to be man to man and see this man to man. If it was going to be fist or any other way. And I thought we was cool. I don't have nothing built up for me to sit here and go. I used to sit here and be raised, click of it, but I feel like that was the enemy using his workers to influence me to be that Smack DVD Kid.
It was.
But it's not in me no more. You know what I mean? Like, and when I see him years later, gives me a hug, says, I love you.
Look at that.
How you been, dog? I love you. I think it's Wu Tang Man. Man, I've been all right, Wu Tang Man, you know? Keep him from a bird's eye view, but see where the respect is. So that young one, it was always sitting here going off that or the reputation or how I feel or egotisticalness, what I say. And the ego was like I used to tell my partner, his agent got out. Having that ego where, man, you ain't finna talk to me this way, you won't do. It's like I tell a young kid, I said, when I was young, I used to walk down the street and I see a group of 5 men coming my way. They look like me. I tense up. My ears go this way. I get on the elevator. 5 black men come on there. I tense up and what do? Ain't that a problem? Because it was 5 white men, I wouldn't think nothing of it. If it was 5 Asians, I wouldn't even blink at their direction. That's
but you see 5 blacks here with tense up.
I'm gonna tense up. I'm gonna feel some type of way. So when I learned the maturity, you know, and since the negativity that I have with my own, or negativity, or even sense of fear, because that's a sense of fear if I get on there and I feel away because if 5 white go on there, we'll do that. And the other, I'm over there chilling and kissing my girl, grabbing her booty, we do jeweled up and everything. I got my back to it, all 5 of them. But it's 5 niggas. If I'm standing in front of her.
Yeah, you gotta protect her, You know what I'm saying? Gotta watch these cats here.
People ask me, what's wrong, baby?
Yeah.
And as a man, what can you explain to her? Oh, I felt some intimidation. Some brothers, that's a problem in my life.
Yeah.
So once I learned that, hey, I got no fear of no one. You know what I'm saying? I forgive anyone in these streets that I feel like I had an egotistical issue with, that I had to prove to come do it. Because half the time, if I proved it or say here and we did it and I knocked you out, now I become a bully if I'm gonna continue doing this shit. You feel what I'm saying? And then a lot of them that I influence to sit here put in a situation, it's hurt for me to say, and I pray and I repent on it, because a lot of them that went that route with me are either what I call put on, in Compton or California, put this one on. They dead or gone.
I go through that all the time.
So it's like I led somebody the wrong way. I think I feel, you know what I mean? I really broke down in tears talking to guys like, man, wow, a mom losing a son and not knowing that son probably just wanted some people to hang out with and do. And they ran this route with us and wasn't big for it. And his life got taken for it.
You know, that's what I was saying. You cracking it open, trying to end it, but you cracking that back open. If your dad said that today, he would have ended all of this.
Yeah. Bigger, and
that's the point I was making earlier. If that came from your dad, this whole entire thing would be ended.
It's you know, and I was going to say a C word, but it's a church. Because that's a sense of when I say I continue it like
You continued, yes.
a legacy.
Yeah, because you were saying, because he is saying it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, of a
Through you.
that should have.
Yes.
And the better way that I could continue his legacy of what quote unquote you feel that you gave into this world, you know what I mean? That I can be the one, and I've been told this by his bandmates is you could be the change in your family to change a narrative or a generational curse of things that are going on. Because as you get older, yeah, I sit here and look at it like, man, how much you influence. If I just think about what I did in my little self or life, through manner, and I feel bad that I sit here and turn these individuals this way on a bad lead. I got nothing to give back for them. So, you know, a lot of people asking me as far as I'm like, man, why don't you give us some new music? If you want to hear what I'm talking about, the life I'm living now. Like,
yeah, they do.
Yeah, and
they do.
I wouldn't even knock it.
They do.
They do. Yeah, they probably would.
They do. It's the way you say it.
Exactly.
It's the way you say it.
Exactly. You're right, brother.
You know what I'm saying? It's the way you say it. We'll make something together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got a lot of music out there. We'll make something together. And it might sound like a gangster killer. And then if you listen to the words, you be like, what the hell? That's not what he's saying at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because
just a different stride to lead them to a different drink of water is what I say. You know what I'm saying? And you saying that is what if he would have said it today? It's been told to me, but you just yelled it at me.
Yes.
And I hear it now.
Yes.
The second when you said that,
his peers is denying it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem why we can't break it. Yeah. The peers are acting like they did nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're acting like they're these mogul billionaire people, multi-rich. They didn't do anything. We got here distinguished. No, you were a victim too, and we understand that. But you gotta tell these kids in the world that's what it was. Because you did influence a whole lot of boys that's dead or in jail. Yeah. I just sat and watched Jay-Z say he didn't do anything ever that, you know, pulled down on the people or anything like that. I'm like, you're a self-reported crack dealer. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You could never say that you did not do something to your community and pull it down. You can never say that. You're a self-reported crack dealer that never went to jail. If we don't admit and come in the understanding that, all right, I was a victim. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? When you start selling drugs, most guys selling drugs, they were kids trying to get new clothes, didn't know what it was. At some point, if you rise high enough in it, you do realize that. Am I killing? Am I destroying community? You know what I'm saying? That comes if you on. I'm not talking about the nickel and the nickel and dime deal because he can't see past his block.
For real.
But if you someone that claimed, as reportedly you have, moving state to state, had big, huge operations going on, that means you was destroying communities everywhere, all across, and what we write on paper, we put on words.
Yeah.
Destroying too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just think if these guys admit that they were victims themselves and somehow got, orchestrated into writing stuff, showing a lifestyle that eventually was used to manipulate us, we will all stop and look at it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? And your dad would have been, the key, like, hey, Will, Tupac too, you know what I'm saying? Tupac too. A lot of people, but maybe that's why they take them out, you know what I'm saying? But I can't tell you, brother, this was such amazing. I'm definitely gonna be back out here to do this again, you know what I'm saying? the last thing I want to leave you with is you're spiritual. You know what I'm saying? That means a lot to me. On my journey, I try to share with you and the world, you know, as well, what I learned. So it's something you could take with you. So I wrestle every day. I wrestle with a lot of stuff, a lot of the same stuff you said. So on my journey, what I'm understanding is for me to become in accord with God, I must be in accord with the truth. And I heard you speak about that earlier, but I don't know if people really, I'm not saying you, the world, understand that. Because if we understood the truth, we will understand that, for one, Jesus Christ is the truth because he told you. You know what I'm saying? He said, I am the truth, the way, and the life. You know, now, so as I try to tell people on the platform, those that are confused by Jesus, just when you read in the Bible and you see Jesus, just put truth. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and you have a big understanding of everything. So me getting away from the lie is put me in accord with God. And what's the lie? You know what I'm saying? The lie is everything. You know what I'm saying? It could be down to what I eat. Yeah. Even food. Like I go inside the store and I buy a fruit punch drink. That's a lie. Mm-hmm. That's not a fruit punch drink. Yeah. Yeah. But that's just an example. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's everything. From what the music to the head, you know what I'm saying? Right now, I decided to dye my beard, you know what I'm saying? That's the lie. Yeah. Yeah. I was that today, you know. I hear you know. You got it? Yeah. All right, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So this has been great, brother, and I can't wait to do it again. Again, we just brought y'all something epic. Rewind, watch it again. This is, oh man, you know, thank God. Peace.
I said, get 'em, get 'em, get 'em. I'm gonna get 'em, hit 'em, get 'em. I said, how can a apostle be this hostile? With no home training, you know I'll pop you. Stop your breathing and close your nostrils. Plot your death while I read the Gospels. You're a hassle, you dirty rascal. You wanna wrestle, what's about the tassel? My cerebral, see no evil. You can't be a boss if you're weak and feeble. See, Sean Bigga, I'm bona fide. And you just born a fly. Said he had strengths on him rely. Picture that I then replied. The world is dark, it's just a matrix. My light will shine, I am the greatest. I said he's chicken, shit's kebab. Try to play me, this to God. In debate on what the profit is. As I squeeze esophagus. Get 'em, get 'em, get 'em. I'm gonna get